Thank you everyone for attending the Town of Stellarton Committee of the Whole on November 23rd, 2020, 5:30 p.m. May I have approval for the agenda, please?
So move.
May I have a second, please?
Second that.
Thank you. It was moved by Councillor Pence and seconded by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion passed. May I have approval of the previous minutes, please? Thank you. May I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion was moved by Mayor McGillivray and seconded by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion passed. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Hearing none. Number 5, Municipal Election 2020 recap. Josephine McDonald, Returning Officer. The floor is yours.
Well, I was allowed back in the door anyway, so
That's a good thing. That's a good start.
thing. First of all, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be the returning officer for the town of Stellarton again this time. I think everything went normally well. We had a few glitches, but fortunately we were able to take care of those things that did happen. What I want to go through just as a recap, I like to get a feedback from the candidates, as you people were, on different parts of the election. Nominations, was it convenient and satisfactory? Does anybody want to comment on that? Like when I made appointments with you, were you all satisfactory with everything that?
Everything is excellent.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes, coming to Stellarton was very helpful. Thank you very much.
okay.
They were well organized and asked the questions you had them listed, so it was very effective and efficient.
Yep. Okay, what about your, us returning phone calls or emails to you? Did you feel like we done it in a time?
They're a little slow.
Okay.
It was very good, Josephine. You always called back
Yeah,
in a timely manner.
okay. So nominations are good then? There's nothing that we can improve on with nominations or anything? Campaigning, signs and other issues. I know we had a little bit of issues in Stellarton with some signs, and I think we have that with everybody throughout. The post office, I guess, was the biggest thing with people putting them in the post office, but I think we cleared that up once we...
Yeah, I've been campaigning a lot of years in different campaigns and running campaigns, and nothing, it doesn't matter. You can't control that.
No.
That's up to the individual candidates running, and the individual should have known better.
Yeah. The only thing is when an issue is brought to my attention, I have to deal with it. But I don't get excited about signs. And I think in my nomination meetings with you and everything, I always told everybody I didn't get excited about signs, because signs don't mark the X on the ballot. And
Well,
a lot of people get excited about other people's signs.
My experience with signs, that could also be a detriment to the person that put them there, because it could upset people because they're there. So it was a non-issue as I saw it anyway, personally.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it wasn't in my ward, but
Okay, the voting procedures, because we went totally electronic this time, did everyone feel like it was the procedures were explained explicit enough to you all, so that you all would be able to go out to the candidate or to the electors and tell them exactly how things were going to take place this time? Okay. Did you get any feedback from any of the public?
the only feedback I got, and it was both pros and cons, positive and negative. Some people like the paper ballot. I guess they like to go down and do the traditional thing. And there were some people actually liked the phone and then they thought it was excellent. Personally, I thought it was great for me and my wife. We didn't have to go worry about it. We get on the phone and phone in.
Yeah.
But I personally, Brian, feel that a lot of people are still comfortable with the paper ballot, and I don't think council should forget that.
I think when I show you statistics tonight, you're going to change your mind.
No, and I have to say, I agree with you, Gary. I believe in paper ballot.
I'm not opposed.
I believe in paper ballot as well. Sorry. I believe in paper ballot as well, too. But people talk about the security issues with electronic voting. But I've been doing this 36 years, and you will find just as many insecurities with a paper ballot as you will electronic. This issue about what we're going through now, or what I'm going through with people that were going door to door and voting for people, or things like that. The same thing happens with
Proxies. Yeah.
And if we all remember, well, I don't know, you fellas, some of you fellas won't remember this, but there was some people in years past from Westville that was actually charged for doing proxies. I mean, he had 100 and some proxies that he was looking after. So, anyway, but again,
But I have to still say, I think there should be one form of paper ballot. I have to agree with Councillor Pence. For those that, well, there's people that feel insecure. It wouldn't have to be as dramatic as they had in years past, but there should be at least one poll open on voting day for
Yeah.
those that want to go.
but we had that one poll open on election day. We had 32 voters, and that poll cost the town of Stellarton close to $2,000. So that's something you have to take into consideration as well. I think next time, if I'm still here, or whoever's in my place, what I would strongly recommend is, instead of, if people are uncomfortable, I would have somebody from my office go to that person's house personally and assist that person. I think it would be a lot cheaper than running a poll. But again, that's council's decision. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, or during the election process, was there any issues that you found came up? What, and this is a touchy question, what about some of you that were trying to access your website? No issues?
Like the voter website, you mean?
Yeah.
Like the list of no, I had no issues. The only thing I could say is that it only showed like 5 or 6 voters at a time. If you could make it so it showed more, it was always scrolling through different pages, but
Yeah,
it worked.
that's
good.
where it comes in handy when you make your own lists, so that you don't have to go through everybody's name. If you get somebody to do a folder up for you, and you're only concentrating on certain area or certain people, then you don't have to scroll through all the town of Stellarton. You
Okay,
can
I didn't know
go,
that.
Yeah,
You can
then you should get your assistant or your.
Me?
whoever helps you, it's good to do that. And maybe that's something I should have explained earlier too, but,
Well, I had a few little problems with that. People's names were disappearing off my list, and I don't know where they went, but anyways. And it was showing they voted, and then they didn't vote, and I don't know. Anyways,
but you were the only one that had that issue.
go figure.
And I
could have
don't
been
mean
the-
that,
it could
and
have
I
been the
don't mean that,
person
I
cut-
don't mean that personally or anything else like that, but like most of the candidates, and I dealt with 68 candidates, and most of the candidates loved it. They liked being able to access it and see what was taking place.
It was a good tool for sure, and in conjunction with the paper list as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're both valuable.
Yeah. And paper lists are not something that that had to be given out to you with electronic voting, but I find a lot of people like to have it in their hand. The same way as the paper ballot. A lot of people like to have it in their hand. Election night, I have to apologize for the website crashing. Susan was the accomplice there. I kept trying to tell her to leave it alone. But unfortunately, those things happen. And if you can remember back to 4 years ago, how late we waited for results to come in, even with the crash, we still all heard relatively soon. Okay? Everyone, I don't know about the return of materials came back really quick this time. It was really good. Deposits, did people get their deposits back already?
Yes, and I apologize for my late getting it. The only reason I remember is when I got my package in the mail, the report, and oh my God, I forgot to take it in.
Okay, and you didn't get yours, Simon? Pardon? Not yet, no. No. Okay, did you take everything back? Yeah, okay then. So that's pretty well basically it. Overall statistics, I have some here that I want to pass around to you. I'm just going to go over a little bit of the first page, but I think each one of you will like reading because it gives you, the first one is the method of voting by age. And you'll find that the most people that voted electronically was between 60 and 70. That's the ones that liked it the most. Okay? This was mine. What? Who liked it the least? What age? In their 20s. 18, 19, and 20s.
So did they vote by phone, or how did they vote?
They didn't.
They didn't? Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah. No, some of them did. They, in the 30s was low, but your 40, 50, 60s, and 70s was all by internet. You know. You also have the statistics. You'll have all this anyway. Number of eligible voters in the system. And with the recapitulation sheet that I sent you, you'll find out that we had 57.6% in the town of Stellarton, which was very good.
That's very good for a municipal election.
Yeah.
What was 4 years ago and maybe the years before that? Do you have in the numbers?
It would have been, I'd say 48%, 48 to 50%.
Thank you.
And also on here, you'll have a breakdown of the times that the people voted the most. Okay, some liked it in the early mornings. We even had some that voted during the night. Shift workers or whatever. Also, we have on here 59.6 out of 100% of what voted by computer. So your vast majority voted by computer. Phone, so yeah. The smart, no, using the phone, no, the computer, your iPad, your whatever, was the 59.6%. The people that used the phone was 40%. So 40.4%. So the majority of people liked the iPad or whatever way they done it. Age and gender, we have it right down to female, male, who voted where, or how they voted, what the age was, and everything. and method of choice by age and gender. So a little bit of time reading tonight or whatever. So 1, 2, 3. I have 6 here. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. And is there any questions, other questions for Josephine?
So that's just the town of Stellarton, right?
That's just the
Yeah.
Town of Stellarton.
Thank
That's the
you.
only one I ran off was for you.
Josephine, I do have a question. There was an individual that tried to run in the town of Stellarton, who was a councillor in New Glasgow prior to trying to run in the town of Stellarton. I was accused of converting that person from running. Would you kindly tell the council what occurred and why this individual was disqualified from running in the town of Stellarton?
This person was disqualified from the Town of Stellarton because he lied to me. That's what he done. I asked him on several occasions if it was the truth, that he had lived here long enough to vote, or long enough to run. And it wasn't until I got information where something was told me through Halifax that an inquiry was made, and this person already knew that he shouldn't have ran.
I want to thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, thank you. I was blamed as well, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. It wasn't even my ward.
Yeah. I lost a lot, I shouldn't say I lost a lot of sleep over it, but it caused me great grief because I was aware, but because he signed the document, I couldn't do anything about it.
Was that an affidavit that he signed?
Yeah. That was his nomination paper.
Okay. Thank you.
Josephine, the only thing that I have as a concern is the same thing that I had 4 years ago. I called a contestant to congratulate them that they have won. And at that point, the contestant didn't know that they have won yet. And it's the same thing that happened to me 4 years ago, where people came to congratulate me that I won when I didn't know that I won either. So how can we, if we were to continue with this, make sure that, you know, the people that are running would be the first people to know, I guess. That's
Well, actually, there's a protocol.
okay.
You have to notify the CAOs first of each. Susan was sitting with me.
Okay.
She would have been the first one to be able to tell you people, but because she was doing auditing, which she was invaluable to us.
Number one?
And no one realizes how big a job it is to do the auditing. And I usually like to have somebody from one of the towns that's involved with the auditing, so that the my side is there, which Derek always looks after. He's my IT guy when I'm looking after all these things. And it just so happened the last 2 elections, Stellarton has been my auditor, my other auditor that kind of represents the towns. And other than pulling somebody like Susan out of there, that's about the only way that individual councillors would know. We hoped it would have been a lot faster this time, but because of the glitch, and Susan herself will tell you that we did not anticipate the amount of work that was involved at the last minute. nobody would understand how much work is involved getting that to you. And we thought it was going to be faster, but it wasn't. And then again, with the system shutting down on us, it created more problems. But we really thought that the press would have headed out faster than they did, and they didn't. And I know the only thing that you could do, and because of the COVID this time, see, most elections, they come to the returning office. A lot of candidates come to the returning office and they sit in the council chambers and they wait for the vote to be given out. Okay? But I don't know what else we could have done to get you. I mean, I know you're sitting there with bated breath, you know, but it's a situation that to be able to tell you all by 9:30 or whatever, even though other people are calling you, and I had a hard time with some people not wanting to call, but they went by the rules, and didn't we? But I know that's not answering your question, Simon, but if you went by ballot, I mean, you would definitely still be hours. You would have been a lot more later finding out. And I know where your question comes from, is that why did other people know faster than you did? But it's just the fact that if you were handy a news reporter, they found out, they started calling people. That's...
I think I ran a provincial election, and my son called me from Ontario to tell me that my candidate won before I know. So, I mean, that happens more than just at one level. It happens at all levels.
It happens
like
at
I said,
all. It happens at all levels.
Elections is pretty pressing, and when you, like, I was in charge of the polls there as well in the federal election, and I know it's pandemonium when you're trying to get everything in, and everybody's coming in throwing things at you, and they just want to get out, and it gets pretty hard. I
But
understand.
I really think Susan's eyes were opened this time. Nobody realizes the work that is involved in an election. Nobody does.
Donald Trump does.
But anyway, that's all I have, Simon. I will think about that in the near future, try to get something that would be able to get back to you fellas quicker, but...
Simon knew, Raul. He knew right away before anybody else knew that he was elected.
I knew somebody on the inside. All right, thank you very much, Josephine. Any more questions for the returning officer?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Josephine, I just want to say I am so glad that our clerk done such a fine job for you. She is from Stellarton, you know.
Oh, I heard that every day.
Thank you, Josephine.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everyone.
Still number one.
Yeah.
Number 6, correspondence.
This is information from the IWK Foundation requesting a donation from their foundation.
Should we defer to the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Susan, can you defer to the budget?
Yes.
Box, please?
Can we put that on, or are you allowed to put that on a yearly? Because they're always looking for a donation every year. Can we just make that an automatic thing? And I'm a supporter of the IWK, or is that allowed?
Well, as per policy, they have to reapply every year.
Okay.
I agree with you, Ryan. And there's a request from Lions Club as well?
Yeah, I guess I can speak in that one. I got a call from the King Lion here a while ago. They're great. They're the only service club we have in Stellarton. They do a lot of work here. Besides raising money, they give to oil when people have down oil. They do a lot of charitable work. But this year with the covert, they usually get out there and sell hot dogs and raise money through other means. So anyway, Stan Holland called me, he's a King Lawyer now, and Stan asked me, would it be possible if they went on Lawrence Boulevard and had a second one, like they have the annual one, they want to have 2 a year to see if they can recoup some of the loss. I said, well, personally, I don't have a problem with it, but I'll bring it to council and see what the...
I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem with it either.
Okay,
Brian.
so we need a motion? Okay, I'll make a motion that if they want, they can have instead of one, you usually have 2 of them.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Motion passed. Thank you, Brian. Number 7, communication plan draft.
So I know that you guys received this long document. So I put together a much shorter version of this communications plan to really highlight what we want to see and how we want to do it. I figured it would be much easier that way, so we can go from there. So this plan has been it's been in the works since I started. Obviously, it was the reason that I was hired. COVID definitely put a slow to it with needing press releases, updates, making sure that was all taken care of first. So I'm very happy to get this underway. With this plan, Stellarton really does have a good base to start with. So this plan kind of takes that, grows it, solidifies that base, and it's something that we can continue to build on. This presentation will go over the background for the plan, how we came up with these things, the goals for communications, strategies and tactics on how we can implement those, as well as a timeline which coincides with the current 2019 to 2024 strategic plan, which I know is potentially being changed, worked on, changed, updated from there. So, situation analysis, again, is that on? No. Oh, okay, great. We'll start there then. I tried. It was on earlier, so I'm hoping we're good now. There. Yeah. Does it get any brighter? It does. So we're coming. But again, really good base to start here. There are a lot of landmarks that have features with signs. The new sign was something obviously before me. So that base is there. Our social media accounts have a really good following. I think they were about Facebook was about 1.7, 1.8 followers when I started. Now we're over 2,000. Instagram is now part of our presence. Sorry? The website is really good. There's also town committees that are established, newsletters that have been started, as well as informative mailouts. There's also a really good relationship with the local media outlets. Internally, again, things from my perspective since starting have been really good. Monthly management meetings have been really helpful. It's been given, we meet once a month to go over what's kind of happening, what's on the go, gives us more of an idea of how other departments are working versus just our own. Having access to everyone in the staff email directory is also wonderful. A lot of places don't necessarily have that, so in the event it's needed, getting information out to everyone on the staff is very easy. And then again, communication between departments, not just in email and the monthly management meetings, but we all have a great relationship where I can go next door or down the hall or downstairs, and everyone is kind of in talks with each other every day. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Again, I'm just going to keep rehashing that the base was good. Obviously I have a little bit of bias now, but there really is a good base to build from. The support both from council and the community is huge. We know it's there. They're willing to share things. They want to know the information. So that drive and that passion for the town is really, really good, and it's definitely something that helps communications. The opportunities that we have are obviously to increase the recognition of town services here, with businesses, what they can do, and just overall, it's going to continue to increase that transparency, which I know is really important. Weaknesses. Weaknesses and threats kind of go hand in hand, and they flip-flop back and forth. Something that I consider a weakness, because it's something that I have to use, is our website building platform. It's one of the more difficult ones, but it's one that there are ways that I can myself or someone else can learn and be able to adapt. But again, right now it's challenging, and it's definitely not the easiest one out there. Time constraints. There's a lot of jobs, and there's not always enough time, whether we like it or not. Threats are similar ideas and plans could come up. I know that communications is not strictly something that is thought about in Stellarton. Other places think of it, so this kind of gets us ahead of the game and kind of sets us apart. Financial limitations are always going to be a factor and always a threat. And then there's the risk of developing too many resources. We don't want to create too much that there's too much for people to look for to find. If it's as close as we can get what we have, the easier it is for people to access information. So the goals that I've put towards this plan, brand recognition, which not necessarily as, a logo plastered on someone's shirt, like, oh, hey, that's from Stellarton, but also that at the same sense. In terms of, we've got a ton of green space, we've got parks, we've got buildings that can be used by the public, not necessarily are known, so, signage with our brand colors, the blue and the gold that, we have featured other places. Highlighting those, and people will start to see, oh, that's Stellarton, or at an event having Stellarton face mask, people recognize that's with the town. Transparency, which you're all more than aware of, especially with the live streamed council meetings and committee of the whole meetings. That's a good start, but we can always do more. There's always ways to push that and to be more transparent. Streamline social media pages. There are several social media pages that are affiliated with the town. To be able to have consistent, concise messaging through all of them will make it a lot easier for people to be getting the same information, know where they can go, and just to have that consistency. Increased opportunity for town and committees. We have a lot of individuals that are passionate about the town. They want to give back. So to be more open and to put tactics into place that can build on those committees and strengthen them, I think is a good goal, as well as we have a lot of local businesses that they're great, and not everyone knows how great they are. So if we can work with them and they can work with each other, then we can strengthen that as a whole. So for strategies and tactics, the first one, which has been chatted about several times over the year, is new signage to go with the brand standards of the blue, the gold. With that signage, we would start with the welcome signs and build from there. And with that, it goes with, we have a lot of great spaces here, and we want people to know where those are and to understand that that's the town's, and that's a great space. Can we book it? Sure. Just getting people to know where they are and to recognize that we have a lot to offer. We'll go down to the bottom with the committee updates. We have a lot of committees that do a lot of great things, and there are a lot of people that don't know about committees or don't know where they're kind of going. So if we could have, whether it's monthly meetings or monthly check-ins via email, to connect those committees with one another and to connect them with the town, it would just give people a better idea of where they're at. It also gives individuals who aren't necessarily involved now an opportunity to learn how they can get involved and find out which place they would best fit in. It also allows for people, say, on one committee, if they have their specific skill set may be good on another committee as well. Having those updates and knowing where things are and what people need, we can work to fill those out and make sure that roles and the right people are on the right places. With web maintenance, I think there's a lot of good on the website, but there's a lot that we can also add to. Part of that would be those committee updates. Right now we have places for council minutes, committee of the whole, the police commission. We have that information readily available. We also have committee information relatively available. It just isn't in that same format. So to be able to put those in one location, to be able to direct people easily, it gives us a stronger base, and it makes it easier for any member of staff, not just myself or someone on the committee, to say, this is where you should go, or this is where you should look for more information. Or if someone has a question, staff member can go to that spot themselves and say, oh, hey, this is the answer, this is where to go. And it'll help with that transparency to make sure that people know where they can go and that it's easy to get to. I have document templates on there as well. This one seems like, it could go either way. It's something that a lot of people might overlook, but I think it's really important. We have, whether it's water bills, tax bills, different forms that we have from the town, in even job ads that are similar, but they're not all the same. Some of them have outdated logos. It's, they're on the right track, but it's not quite there. If we can have the consistency between every document and have those updated, then we have that consistency. It does look much better. We lose the risk of, someone receiving something and thinking, oh, this isn't the logo that I thought the town used. Like, is this real? Am I just paying money? What is this for? There's a lot less confusion and questioning if everything is, this font, this logo, this way. So reformatting old documents to match one standard of document would make things easier there. A business development group has been talked about, and it has been, some of these things have been in the process and ongoing since I've started. I know back in February I had conversations with a few local business owners about developing a group of, whether it's business owners, employees, staff, what have you, and having that group meet to discuss, problems that they have that, the town should at least know. There's nothing that we can, guarantee right away to say, hey, we'll fix that. But it makes the business community feel heard, for sure. It also gives an opportunity to discuss options or potential for things like a weekend theme or a sale for something. If we can have that, coordination and cooperation between us and the businesses, we can really strengthen that relationship, and we can highlight things better. If we have a weekend that they're doing a cultural, different heritage whether that's local or personal, you know, we can promote that, and we can share that as a whole, and you know, knowing where people are and what they want to do will really help with, you know, that relationship. Stellarton swag is one of my favorites. It's something that is often overlooked, or, you know, it's not really thought about. But having branded Stellarton items really sets us apart. I know personally, I've been at meetings with, you know, other municipalities, when we did the Birch Hill plaque unveiling. Having these masks with the Stellarton logo, people notice, and, you know, they comment and say either they want one themselves, or that it looks great that, you know, it's all uniform. And it's been something that, you know, it seems like something so small, but it makes a big difference. So it's not even just like a personal, I have something from Stellarton and you don't, but it really signifies these are Town of Stellarton employees. You know, Public Works having Stellarton stickers on hard hats, or, you know, Stellarton toque in the winter. You know, people can recognize that that's a town employee. You know, they might have that comfort in, you know, approaching them to ask them a question about the town, or to know where they're looking. So with that, if we can increase that for, you know, ourselves, and find those things that we think are important, whether it's a t-shirt to wear to an event. It's, you know, it's saying it's a uniform is too formal, but it gives something to really highlight, this is Stellarton, this is our place. And there's always the option to have less, you know, actual public Stellarton swags. You know, lots of people love this town, and they have such pride that, you know, they would wear a t-shirt. So it's, you know, it gives us an opportunity to really, you know, bring in committees, bring in residents to be proud of their town as well. Separate logos is big, I think. Our different committees are obviously affiliated with the town, but a lot of them run very independent. Homecoming is a big example of that. It's a lot of our local volunteers, business owners, you know, those are what make Homecoming. It's not just the town doing one thing, it's everyone having their own touch. So we talked about having a separate logo for Homecoming to kind of separate them. But I think that also goes with a lot of the other committees. Communities in Bloom as well. I don't think they have their own logo per se, but they have, you know, their signage. So having those logos kind of separates a little bit from the town while still having that tie-in. And then the last one is media moderating, which is, it's really not a big task. As mentioned, there are several social media pages, websites that are affiliated with the town. To have one person from town staff as a moderator on each page, not to necessarily make changes or to post content, but to make sure that messaging is concise and consistent, that the pictures or the files that are shared are, you know, from the same sources, and that the information going out isn't, you know, something from the States, you know, on COVID versus something directly from the province of Nova Scotia. There's many examples, but that's one of them. So having that moderator would, you know, not necessarily post things, but to be a watchful eye to say, you know, if something's wrong, they can go in and change it right away. It would also help if, so say someone messages the fire department about a public works issue. You know, if that moderator's on that page, they could see that and direct it, whether it's checked on regularly by fire or not. That moderator would have the ability to say, you know, this is an issue for public works, here's the number, here's how you can get in touch, we'll make sure it gets, the message gets to the right place. So it's you know, it's something that seems small, but it does make a big difference. So I know the timeline's difficult to see. The important notes with the timeline are, again, that It coincides with the strategic plan that is in place. My timeline here starts 2021, as that's when we can really get the ball rolling with this plan. But, you know, this really started with my hiring. You know, a lot of these tactics and a lot of what's in here has been worked on over this past year and will continue. I think the most important part is to have someone permanent to really execute this plan. So I think that's the first point on the timeline is getting that position, and then the rest can follow. The crucial year is next year to really get each one of these points started. So with the business development group getting a document ready to highlight what it's about, getting those contacts down and forming that, starting the web page designs, adding media moderators. Those first steps are what's going to be in 2021. 2022 is continuing those, working on those, and then 2023 and 2024 kind of tying up loose ends, increasing or adding to where we've lacked for the last 2 years, and then finalizing, you know, the points of this plan. Again, I know that the strategic plan is looking at being updated, so, you know, that can work with this, but I still think 2024 is a reasonable goal to have this base put in place. Can always build from it, can you know, change it, make adaptations to it, but being able to complete this by 2024 should be no problem. And in conclusion, this plan touches on communications needs for a little bit of everything. It's not just web-based, it's not, you know, it's not just committees or businesses. It encompasses a little bit of everything. It is simple, but again, it's strengthening the base that's already here. And once that is solidified and, you know, needs very little changes, we can continue to build from there. Communications is something that is always changing. You know, we noticed that this year when we had to go virtual with, you know, a little bit of everything. So everything in this plan is dynamic. It can change with time, or, you know, as society is changing, and it's doing so rapidly. So nothing in this has to be set in stone. You know, that's an end of it. It's all easy to change, easy to adapt, and to build on. Again, this has been a plan that's been actively worked on throughout this whole year. You know, these conversations have been had, more notes have been added, and I'm sure that between now and 2024, there's going to be more that's added, and, you know, different places that need different things. And typically with, you know, with any sort of plan, there's, you know, measures of success and how we see that. And with communications, it's a little difficult to put numbers on things. We can do that with, you know, analytics of social media pages, but it's not necessarily going to tell us exactly how well this went. So having a survey to, you know, touch on the different themes and the different ideas will kind of give us a better idea. I did put in the paper plan, there are measures of success and, you know, how we'll know when things have been achieved. But, you know, I can say that we've, you know, reached success, but, you know, if we don't know from the public, then was it really successful? So I am more than happy to have a survey of sorts. I know with our Heritage Committee, we have a Heritage survey that's out right now, and it does get, it's been getting regular submissions, both online and hard copies. So, you know, people want to have their input heard, and, you know, knowing if we did well or where we should be going from there is a great way to determine our success.
Thank you very much, Paige. That was very good. Is there any question for Paige?
Just say that I think the committee updates on the website would be a really good idea. Our documents should be consistent, as you talked about. And I get a lot of comments too about masks or other branded material. I'm just wondering if we could look into like a virtual pro shop or something where there's like items available for people to purchase from the public. But I know you have to buy minimum orders, and that might be the fly in the ointment on that one. But anyway, I get a lot of requests for that stuff. Just want to bring it up. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I know, I mean, myself, I've gotten lots of people questioning where we got the mask and how can they get one. So, you know, I don't see that, you know, masks are the only thing that people are going to want as a Stellarton, you know, item. So, yeah, it's definitely something I can look into and see, you know, there might be an opportunity where we can set up with a company to say, you know, can we do these one-off products if we know that they're going to come? So that's definitely something I can look into.
Yeah, I like the idea. I read it here online before I got the package, and I was quite impressed with it. There's things, like, especially at homecoming, when people come back from away, there's a lot of people come home every year for homecoming. And there's always something that's nice to say, or have stuff like that, or even things, or hats or whatever, T-shirts to say, you know, I grew up in Stellarton, you know, I'm from Stellarton, because they'll come home and they want to take something back as a souvenir. I know I have my own Facebook page there, and I put a lot of stuff on, old stuff from Stellarton, and get unbelievable. I put a piece on the other day, I think I got 4,000 hits on it, you know. So people are interested in even remembering the old stories. So yeah, it'd be good. It'd be great to have. And I get the same thing. People ask me where I got the mask, and they buy one as well. So it'd even be great if we had some of them on stock that we could sell at our cost, you know, at the front desk, or maybe you, I don't know, whatever is convenient. Yeah, it'd be a good idea. I like the signage. I think it's great. It's bright. And I like the idea of the consistent, paper, the forms and that. They should be all consistent. Yeah, it looked like, yeah. If we have a standard pattern throughout, yeah, it's good. Yeah, like I said, I read the whole package, and I like what was on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. I have a couple of things. First of all, I echo everybody's comments here. Well done. Thank you. Very detailed. Only thing that is missing, in my opinion, is dollar figures.
Yep.
I didn't see that. So I'm just going to hit on a couple of points that I took some notes on. So replacement signage. These have been worked on for the PAC committee for a while now. Thank you, Paige, for getting this to fruition. This will be the most immediate cost that will be forward to the budget deliberation. So that will be for your consideration in budget time. As you have seen on the timelines, we're looking to do 5 for next year, replacement signs for the one that at each entrance in Stellarton, and as you would have noticed, they're in pretty bad shape, so that would be the most priority that we have, and then after that would be the remainder signs. The couple of things that I would like to see, the business development group, I think, is a great idea. We tried to engage businesses in the past. We weren't very successful. I'm hoping that your persistent will be a little bit more successful than our approach. But I would be more than happy, and I'm pretty sure that any councillor here, whether it's me or anybody else, or the mayor, of course, would be more than happy to assist in any way possible, whether it's on a committee or whether it's just to knock on doors. The relationship between us and the businesses needs to be very open and tight, so that we are able to service them, so that they can service back their community.
Yeah. And in those preliminary discussions back in February, the feedback was very, very positive. The business owners are happy to become somewhat of a champion. The ones that I spoke to anyways, I didn't get a chance to before COVID kind of shut everything down, but, you know, they've expressed that they're willing to, you know, work with us and to be sort of a champion for the business community and, you know, do their own kind of outreach with us as well. So, you know, it's a really good start.
I'll just add to that Paige and myself are planning on meeting with the different businesses around town over the next few months. We have a plan in progress now. So.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the website, you said that there's going to be 2 new pages. One will be for the different committees. The other one, if I'm understanding correctly, will be around the local businesses.
Yes. We do have technically a business page. However, it's not flushed with our local businesses. It's more, I think, there's RFPs and tenders under there. There's another bullet, but I'm not sure quite off the top of my head. So it's not necessarily building a new page. It's just kind of adding to the one that could be there. Because that option is there, but it's not.
So are we thinking of kind of highlighting some of the businesses that we have around town? Is that something that you're thinking of, or what are you trying to achieve with that?
So I've been asked several times since I've started about somewhat of a business directory. So, you know, what businesses do we have around town? You know, whether it's food or grocery or clothing or medical, different things like that. So if we could do that, but as well as highlighting, you know, if you know, we get this committee and, you know, the drive is there to do some sort of a weekend sale or a week-long special that they want to do to highlight that. I hadn't looked or hadn't considered really emphasizing or highlighting particular businesses, at least not on the website per se. I think that would be more social media emphasis, because the website it's not as instant and that the updates aren't as frequent. So the website would be more so of a, you know, once a month update it, you know, and I definitely am open to the highlighting businesses. It just for the website.
I'm just asking the question,
Yeah.
trying to understand what your vision is.
Yeah, more so a directory and you know, contact information and how they can, you know, maneuver themselves and potentially a map of, you know, where they are and how they can get to them.
When you say directory, I know that in the past, NSBI, Nova Scotia Business Inc.,
Okay.
talked about a need for a certain database for commercial real estate, whether it's in town or in the county. I don't know if this is something that any of the other towns are thinking of, but in your research and in your conversations, if you can keep that in the back of your mind to see if we can establish something like that, where if someone is looking for a commercial real estate or store or whatever, we can provide through that directory what is available.
So for new business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a new business, existing business moving around, you know, whatever is available
Okay.
for lease or for something like that. The contact at NSBI at the time was Lynn Coffin. Lynn is a great person and she's very knowledgeable. And, you know, with your title as the marketing and communication person, I'm pretty sure that Lynn would be a wealth of knowledge to provide a lot of information about marketing and communication as well.
I think I've met her at a couple different things.
Don't tell her you know Simon, though.
I won't. I think I met her a couple times earlier this year. Yeah, in the conversations I've had, she seemed more than happy
Yes.
and willing
Yeah.
to have those
Perfect.
conversations. So,
Thank you. A couple of other things. In the bullet about moderator, so it says here the moderator would not be responsible for making all new contents and posts. However, they would have access to edit posts for consistent messaging. So that would be after the fact then.
yeah. So obviously, I run the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram right now for us. That content's created here. But other Facebook pages that are affiliated with the town, they have their own posts, which is more than, you know, obviously it's more than fine. But just in terms of, you know, specific things, whether it's, you know, the town is doing something and they're going to make a post about it. It's just, you know, to have that messaging be consistent, you know, from what we're saying versus what they're saying. So it's not completely, you know, so it's not like two different things are going out about the same topic.
I think if I may, Paige, I think, just as an example, recently with everything that's going on with COVID, sometimes you might have a department that will put up things that's from another jurisdiction. So just keeping those kinds of things consistent, that everything that we post is from the province of Nova Scotia, just as an example.
So that would require some work on your end to try and keep up with every post out there. Would you be able to manage that?
Once you,
Because I don't want you to get bogged down with the details, with so much other work that needs to be done.
yes,
Right?
yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the time that, you know, you recognize that, because it is a big task. But to have, once that moderator status is given, you know, I can turn on notifications to when there is a post made. A lot of them, they don't really post a whole lot. You know, 1 or 2 a day is typically the recommendation. You don't want things lost in timelines or feeds. So I personally don't think it's too much. You know, however, if it was, it would be something that definitely needs to be reconsidered. You know, I've done media monitoring with like Google. So when articles come in about a particular subject, you know, to be able to see them. And that was something that was just kind of in the background. I'd get notifications about it and be able to check them all at once. So I think it's definitely something that would be a background noise, be able to check periodically. And I think for the most part as well, with, you know, brand standards or formats, if the committees or if the departments that have these pages know these in advance, I think that there might be a inclination to, you know, pay more attention or to shift how they're making their own posts to begin with. So I guess my hope is that there's little moderation that actually needs to be done.
Last two things, they're more of a wish list than anything else.
Okay.
You know, this communication plan stemmed from the strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was part of it, and I think the strategic plan is also a communication tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see it integrated within this document somehow, just so that we keep it alive and use it as a communication tool that was intended to be. And the second thing that's also is on my wish list is to recognize, which is also to communicate to our residents, any of the building or any of the monuments or places that have like historical value or historical significance, of course with the Heritage Committee probably, I would say.
Yeah.
But maybe if we can start, you know, highlighting those, whether it's on our website or whether through plaques, like we have done a couple before, right? But that's how we can, you know, market and how we can communicate our heritage to our residents right now and any potential resident in the future.
Absolutely.
And that would be my wish list.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Just to comment on the business association, I think Simon alluded to it, but there's a lot of newer businesses in the last year or two in town, so it's not the older group you're going back to now to try to reboot it. You've got a lot of new businesses that you'll be dealing with. I'd say the majority of them are new businesses in town now.
Perfect. Any more questions? Thank you very much, Paige. Okay. Number 8 is open forum. There is nobody in the council for an open forum, so our next meeting will be on January 25th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. That'll be next year. Not this year, next year. I'll give you a full year, Gary. And can I have an adjournment? Thank you, Mr. Pence.